scroll. Hello, I'm Susan Rice, and I'm in an office. And you want to listen to me because people in offices oftentimes have important things to say. I'm gonna level with you. I'm not actually in an office. It's okay, Brennan. I actually like it better without it. Well, it's that time of year again when everybody's up there about their New Year's resolutions. You know what I think about New Year's resolutions? Screw them. I mean, what are you gonna do? Lose weight again? That's been on my failed list since 1956. Get your homework done before class. Do you know you can actually graduate with a 1.5 GPA? Join a gym. The closest I came to a gym was I dated one. He was married. Make a last will and testament, one for your family and one that you file. Surprise! Well done, Brennan.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. Yes, that was Susan Rice, the funny old bag, she calls herself. I'm not calling her that, but she calls herself that. Jenny Sykes is here. I love Susan Rice. She's an inspiration. Yeah, she's hilarious. Todd Lee, peanut butter whiskey. Yeah, so they got a free ad here on Lunch Therapy as an introduction to the show. Holy everybody, Genielle says. Very happy to be here on this rainy Friday in Los Angeles. I want to thank all the Patreons. This is Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. It is fueled by hummingbirds, some of which are scrolling below here. Thank you to the Patreons. If anybody wants to donate to the show, please go to patreon.com/Joel Marshall. You can also like and subscribe here. That's very encouraged. We just hit 50,000 subscribers, so hoorah! Hoorah! There's Boney in the background dancing about it. He's my plastic skeleton assistant. Howard Aronin is here, comedian extraordinaire. Great to see you, Howard. Got a great show for all of us here today. Let's breathe. For you folks up there in the Pacific Northwest, Susan Rice is from the Pacific Northwest as well. She's up there in Portland. Behind me, of course, is Healing Vibrations, also from the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of a Northwest. It feels like that here today, too. It's very gloomy outside. Not to say that Pacific Northwest is always gloomy, but it is often. So in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Oftentimes, Travis behind me will put some thoughts on the screen. You can go to Healing Vibrations on YouTube and check that out. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. Pacific Northwest into house or into dojo. One more, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. All right. Show's moving along. A little bit of pan art, the Panjin Ensemble, Hands on Pang. I don't know what it means, but they make some great music out there. These are the people that invented the hand pan, which is a big thing on this show. Huge. There they are, the people that invented it. I think it would be better. No.
Sugar icing on a cake.
It's terrible.
And some ponies more. And making dance a snake. And some ponies more than a warm nest in Gaia's lap. And some ponies more than a simple app. More than a performance on YouTube.
More than a
More
performance.
than a kick for people in the tube. More than the marriage of rhythm and melody. More than a romantic rhapsody.
Like it.
More than clicks on a plastic handpan shell.
So there you go. That's the hand pan for you. A bunch of other instruments that they have. Check them out at Pan Art. Todd Lee's saying that it'd be a better deal if the Pacific Northwest and California were sold to Canada and we became Canucks. Could rid Orangey the Clown of a few headaches. Wow, some politics going on here. We usually don't have that here. The Cascadia Province. Interesting idea. Good idea. Beautiful music, right, Jane? I mean, there's something about the sound of those instruments that really hits deeply, I think. Odds wants to build a wall. All right, let's get into this thing. We're really lucky to have Susan Rice on the show. Susan Rice is somebody who, as I said before, is up in Portland. But she started out her comedy career in the 80s here in Hollywood. Had a very successful career. Oh, she's shaking her head. In the chat room, she's shaking her head. I mean, in the green room. Boney, stop her from shaking her head. Okay, she did not start in Hollywood, but she was in Hollywood in the 80s, right? Am I right? Okay, good. I see her nodding now. So she hit the comedy scene here in the 80s, played a lot of clubs here, all the major networks, then went back to Portland, Oregon, right? Yep. And continued her career, often doing the corporate circuit. Now she's touring different cities as a headliner. You may have seen her on Don't Tell Comedy, which is a YouTube channel, where she has a video that's gotten over 1.3 million views, which is no joke. She's a master joke teller, has great stage presence. Her favorite quote is, "I couldn't wait for success, so I went ahead without it." Jonathan Winters. I love that. But she's definitely having success now. So let's get into this thing. It's called Interview Friday.
Don't tell AARP. God, it's nice to be here. It's nice that I got up those fucking steps. Honest to God. I'm gonna fluff my hair so my ass looks smaller. I got bad knees. It's a speed dating accident. Yeah, I wasn't fast enough. Guy next to me died. He never got off the fucking chair.
Oh God.
Welcome to Lunch Therapy, Susan Rice.
I have that same laugh track that follows me everywhere I
Do
go.
you? It's so
It's on my
good.
phone. Yeah,
Keep
I
it in
use
your
it in the
pocket.
I use it in line at the grocery store. Yeah,
That's
hit the
great.
button. I'm getting applause, everybody.
Oh my
I have
gosh,
my
that's great.
coupons.
That's great. It's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Joel.
I absolutely love your comedy. I think you are a master joke writer, and your
Oh my God.
delivery is really just amazing. I mean, clearly you're a pro. You've been doing this a
Well,
while.
just to clarify a little bit
Yeah, let's hear
longer
it.
on your intro,
Yeah.
I started in '83 in
Oh,
Portland.
oh, you did. What was that like?
And you came from Edmonds, Washington. We
Hmm.
talked about this.
Yes.
And the Portland was late to the comedy scene, comedy boom. The boom actually started in Seattle about 77, 78.
Mm,
And the underground was established, I think, in 79, the Seattle Underground, which
yeah.
is by Swanee's over near, I don't know what they call it now, the baseball field that's over there. But it's an old town, and it was part of the Seattle Underground.
Yeah.
Their space was part of the Seattle Underground town that was built there to begin with, and then
Underground Seattle.
Seattle built on top of that.
Yes.
And
I
anyway,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
so
I didn't know that. It was actually so okay. Seattle, long time ago, had
a long time ago.
a long time ago. I don't
Yeah,
know
mid
exactly. I've been on
1800s.
that tour. I've been on that underground
Yeah,
Seattle
mid
tour. Have you been on that?
1800s.
Yeah.
There's a skid row in every coastal town or a town with access to water. There's a skid row street called Skid Row, which is they used to cut the trees at the top and slide them down into the bay,
Yeah. The
and
original
then they
Skid
would.
Row is in Seattle because it was a,
Well, now, yeah, I mean, there's skid rows in every city.
yeah,
Portland has a skid row.
it does too.
We had Seattle's built is a hill, so they
Yeah.
built close to the sound. They built close to the sound, and then um, that became obsolete. There was lots of things. I think there was a bad mudslide. There was all kinds of stuff
They
because they were
said
cutting
someone
some trees.
drowned in the street. I remember. It was
Well,
so muddy.
the curbs in Old Town used to be almost past the height of them were almost past your knees. They were so deep.
Yeah.
And because of the mud and the rain that would come down off the hill, off of Capitol Hill,
Hmm.
and into the city. So yeah, and then Seattle built on top of Old Town,
It's crazy.
and yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah.
It
Anyway,
is. I find
but
it fascinating.
I started in '83 in Portland, Oregon,
And what,
and I was
how did you develop comedy then? What were the comedy clubs like?
well there. You're so cute. '83. Okay, so the West Coast again didn't get into comedy until around the late '70s. It came across the country from New York to the Holy City Zoo and the Purple Onion in Seattle, in San Francisco,
Mm.
and it made its way up the coast. And Seattle got in first, and then we came in, and we started our comedy scene here in about '82, late '82, and I got in early. Well, on Sunday is my 42nd anniversary
Wow. I
in
think that
stand up.
deserves this.
And back then there was
Yes, you can.
well, I'm not quitting until I get it right.
Yeah.
So I'm no quitter. So anyway, but yeah, it's we had a there was a little boom. We just started at a little place called the Leaky Roof Tavern,
Hmm.
and it sat about maybe at the most 30, and probably 10 of them were standing. That's how many. Tiny little place,
Just a tiny
and
little place.
it's still there, and
Wow.
it got to be. It was such a phenomena. We were. How can I compare it to so that your friends understand that you're young? It was it was like it was so underground. It was secret. It was like real. So it was the thing for all the people to do. They wanted to go see it, you know. So there was lines around the block to try to get in to a 20 seat, 30 seat venue. And when they couldn't get seats, they stood outside and we opened the windows so they could hear it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And in the
It was that
summertime, people
popular.
would bring their lawn chairs and sit out on the street to listen to it.
Did they amplify
great.
it enough that you could hear it outside on the street, huh?
Who knows?
Who
You know,
knows?
they're
Who
all
knows?
they're all drinking out of the sack.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
And what was how did you learn comedy? Like, did you have idols or mentors
no,
that you learned from?
I'm a professional actress.
You are. Yeah.
I studied in San Diego at USIU, and I grew up in Longview, Washington, and there was an amazing theater department at LCC, Lower Columbia College. And I trained. And I worked when I came back from college to Portland. I worked in theater here in Portland until I got tired of being cast at 22 as the grandmother.
Why did you have a grandmother vibe at 22?
I was round and chubby and matronly, and
Yeah.
so I got cast for that. My best role, I played the little teapot. I was a
my
little
gosh.
teapot in the We Sing children's videos.
That's cool. That is really
Well,
cool.
it was funny because they
Yeah.
wanted, okay, be funny. I thought, well, this script was ridiculous. Here's the
Yeah.
teapot. I'm in this huge thing, probably had asbestos in it, this huge teapot. And and you couldn't see my face. There was a mesh, but my arms and my legs were out, and my voice was heard. And somebody said, "I think you're a sugar bowl." And I said, "Are you sugar bowl? Are you blind? You can't say that to little kids." I said, you can't say that to little kids. Are you blind?
Yeah.
I was
Kids-
a sassy teapot.
Kids are great to tell you the truth, tell you honesty.
Well,
or
yeah,
whatever.
they should let the kids write the script because that was ridiculous. But anyway, so where did my stage presence come from? I acted. I've been on stage since I was in my teens. So
Well, you can tell also in your that commercial that we showed at the top of the show that you know what you're doing.
that was fun. I had a
Yeah.
I had a
What
great
was
time
that?
doing that.
That's like
I did not write the first part of that.
You did.
I wrote the second half of it, but
You
I did not
did.
write the first part. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah, Vox Media did that for Screwball Hit Whiskey, peanut butter whiskey. Yeah.
So,
I turned it down twice.
You did? Why?
I don't drink.
Oh yeah, I don't drink either. But
And
it's a funny commercial.
I
Some
don't
people
let
do.
me just preface that. I don't drink anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
It became obviously, if you're going to spend your life in a club,
yeah.
probably not a good idea to
It's
drink.
one of the traps, I think, of being a comedian is all the being in a club all the time and drinking. And then also, do you ever do that?
Being a woman
it's dangerous.
alone in a club drinking, not a
Yeah.
good idea.
Did you ever drink too much and go on stage?
One time in Portland, I think it was maybe my 33rd birthday or 34th birthday. I was really young. I was new into the business, into stand-up. And back then there was so much work.
Really?
You could work every night in Portland, Oregon.
You could?
In a different place.
Wow.
For a month because, well, it was the new thing. Everybody wanted it. Low overhead. You don't pay a million guys to bring in new equipment and stuff like that. And all of a sudden they wanted it. And so we all got a lot of stage time fast.
And how long were your sets back then?
I think it's pretty much similar. I think the MC did 10 minutes. The feature usually did between 25 to 30.
Wow.
I mean, you had to stand on your feet and think on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
That was why so much of the 80s was had a lot of improvists. SNL had come on the scene in 77,
something like that. Yeah.
And I thought it was 75.
Well,
but
today's now's the 50th anniversary, so it must have been 75.
It's 75. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you're right. 75. And SNL was Second City.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Second City, and they were all improvists. And so, you pretty much, you had enough leeway to play on your feet, and try to
make something happen.
Did you
And
just
it
learn by
either worked
trial
or it
and
didn't.
error? Did you learn by trial
No,
and
I
error?
had material. Yeah, I had material.
No, but I mean,
did,
like,
but,
like writing comedy, like in Portland, like in drama school, they don't teach you how to write comedy. How did you learn how to write comedy?
I can never answer that question in an easy answer. I'm not. I'm a monologist. I'm a monologist to a certain extent. I'm physical
Yeah.
in my act, to a lot more in my earlier days than I am now. But I think you just keep telling it, and then you hone it down, and you tell it again, and you hone it down, and you tell it again, and you hone it down. And if it's not working by the fourth time, you put it aside.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually a lot of those bits that didn't work had one or two really great lines in them, or had a great premise. You just weren't catching it yet, you know, to the point where you could have it relatable to an audience. So yeah, it's pretty much trial by error. But you have to have a structure to it. It's got to be the setup, sometimes explanation, and then the punchline, and then a tag. Usually the tag is a bigger laugh. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
like
there's a
that.
structure to it.
Well, and you also take your time, and you also a lot of.
I don't have any choice now.
No, but,
There's no choice to take my time.
well, there you
I
take.
wish I could.
Take a you are really present with the audience. I mean, there's a.
I try to be.
Yeah, you do.
I'm just hoping that somebody will catch me if I fall. That's all I really care about. You know, you don't want to make an audience, you know, angry and pissed off at you in case, you know, you need CPR. You just don't want to do that. You know, so it's you know, that's the situation.
I'm going to play a little clip, another one from the Don't Tell one, because it kind of shows a little bit about how you interact with the audience.
Thank you. I
adopted a cat recently. I have just one cat. Yeah, and I never have you adopted an animal before? Never? Anybody? Thanks for playing. You know, so I never adopted an animal before. Did you adopt a baby animal? Play with me, goddammit. I'm getting older as I'm standing here. Yeah. Did you name it? See, I thought I got a little baby kitten. She wasn't a kitten, but maybe less than a year old. The bitch is 9. She's 9. And they already named her, and I can't rename her. She's 9, and I hate her. I hate her name. I hate her name. They named her Cake the cat. You guys, I cannot be that old lady standing on the porch at 11 o'clock at night going, Cake!
We missed the tag on that one, but it was
it's
good.
okay. Actually, I should have dropped that tag because a lot of people didn't understand what I was talking about when I first came up with that joke. But yeah,
that's great. So so I love how you interact with the audience and how you keep it loose. And you know,
that one was written on stage one night.
It was? Oh, really?
Yeah. Somebody from the audience yelled out, "You need a cat." And I had a cat.
Yeah.
At the time, and I just told that story, and the punchline popped out of my mouth and went, "Oh, well, that worked."
So do you like to write on your feet a lot, or do you write?
Yeah, I'm really not I'm not somebody. That's why when people ask me about writing, it's real hard for me to explain it. I used to write in the bathtub, and I just have these long conversations.
Yeah. Well,
then I would sometimes I would record it and go back and go, "That was funny. That was funny. Oh, that was pretty funny. Oh, I could do it this way, or I could go that way." It's a stream of consciousness with me. And when I first got into stand-up, I was writing a one-woman show because that was becoming a thing. And there was a gal in Portland that was doing a really great character-driven one-woman show. And Lee Clark Granville, she was a fabulous actress. And I went, I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah.
So I started writing, and back in the day, you have to remember, I was influenced. We were all influenced by SNL the first year. in the second year. Lily Tomlin was a huge
Yes.
influence as
That's
far
what
as
I was thinking.
character-driven comedy was.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg was another really strong presence in my comedy psyche, because
Yeah.
when her name's Karen Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and when she came on the scene, she was Karen Johnson, and she did character-driven comedy. She put a towel on her head, pretending she was a white girl with long blonde hair. And oh, if you've never seen old Whoopi Goldberg comedy tapes, go see them, because
Yeah,
they're
let's
fabulous.
check it out. Yeah.
She was very, very, she was very character oriented, and so was Lily. Obvious, Lily.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all these little stepping stones that at this point in my life, which is lovely to look back on,
Mm-hmm.
all those things were serendipitous, because I've walked a lot of the same path that they have.
Yeah.
I just now all this hoopla that's happening with me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really grateful for,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have wished it earlier.
Really?
I had so much fun. I was my own boss, and I kind of, yeah, there was some really lean years. We might be going into some more, but I'm just saying, nothing's guaranteed in this life. So I'm really happy I got to experience and really study comedy when I first came in. I always loved stand-up. My mother used to wake me up for the Jack Parr show in case Toady Fields or Jonathan Winters was on.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's great.
those were, and Bob Newhart and all those guys. And I got to meet almost all of those people.
You did.
Oh yeah.
Did any
So excited.
did any of them give you any kind of piece of wisdom that you would want to pass on?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. I can't remember who was it. The best piece of advice I got was, stop laughing at your own stuff.
Mm.
And it was a nervous tick that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
So
That's a great piece of advice.
yeah,
Because also, a lot of times comedy is deadly serious, for the performer.
Yeah, I'm reading your,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Phyllis Diller, met her. Lily Tomlin, I have
Joan
yet
Rivers.
to meet her. Met Joan Rivers.
Wow.
And all through the same person. That you have another clip that's coming up that is interesting, because it was my very first television taping. When I was in stand-up, comedy cable wasn't on the scene yet. Cable came alive about 1980, the end of 88, 89.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody had it.
Yeah.
And then the Comedy Central came into play. I think it was like, maybe it was early 87, but nobody had it. And then, but there was a guy by the name of George Schlatter, and he had produced Laugh-In. And he was one of LA's top television comedy producers. And he'd done lots of shows. He'd done lots of different kinds of shows. And he had done Laugh-In, and it was his baby.
Laugh-In was great.
Laugh-In was amazing, and it was topical, and the Smother Brothers opened that door for him.
Oh.
And so
Did you
there's
ever?
a history to this.
No, I'm going to play the clip now, so we can check that out.
Okay. This
Here we
was
go.
my first
What is
shot.
This is your first shot on TV.
This is called George Schlatter's Comedy Club, and it was on ABC, and I think it's 1989.
Wow.
There's certain words you can't say in front of your family. I mean, obviously, you don't say the bad ones, But my mother, as old as I am, she still corrects me.
Don't say geez. That's short for Jesus.
Ma, I don't think anybody called Jesus Christ Jeez. I don't think they sat at the Last Supper going, yo, geez, pass the bread. Maybe when he took the walk out on the water, and somebody looked at him and went, oh, geez.
I love that. That was so great.
That
So yeah, what was that experience like?
that's a good story. I had been home for the holidays in Portland, and I had been performing at what was then the Last Laugh, and there was crap all over these stairs going up to the stage, and then they had sat people right at the end of the bottom of the stairs, so you had to literally crawl, have people get up, move the table to get on and off stage. It was ridiculous. And I stood on a stage about 5.5 feet tall with a big old Lico Fresnel, just light, just glaring my face with my glasses on. And went to step down the steps, and I missed a step
Oh
coming down.
no.
And I ended up, and I landed on a table down at the bottom of the steps, because there was like 7 steps, and I broke my ankle.
What?
And I was told I had to do the second show or I wasn't going to get paid by
Yeah.
the club owner. His name won't be mentioned, Joe Torres. And and the headliner had gone out, and anyway, so I had a broken ankle, and it was in a cast. And I got the call that I was doing this. I had gotten chosen to do George Slaughter's Comedy Club, which was a big deal because I was up against, there was a bunch of big hitters at that time.
Really?
Yeah, Larry, God, there was a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, me? Really? Okay. I was so excited. And so I had a broken ankle, and I had a walking cast, but I was supposed to use crutches. And I did not want to do my first television show. This is national television.
Yeah.
There was no cable. This is national. And it was on, like on a Friday night or something like that. And so I didn't want to do it. So I cut my cast off.
You did? With a broken ankle, you cut your
off.
cast
Oh
off.
yeah. And I have this little jean skirt that I had on. It wasn't little. I like to say little because it makes me feel better. But I had this jean skirt on and this top.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to, he says, I have your entrance for you. You're going to walk up these 11 steps in the back and then come down the steps in the front to the mic.
Whoa.
And my eyes just went. And about a minute and a half before I came on, I went to the stage manager and go, I can't walk those steps. I have a broken ankle. And he went, what? So I came in so I was a little discombobulated, but George Slaughter, who was laughing with Lily Tomlin and Goldie Hawn and Chevy, all these people were on this show.
Yeah.
Joanne Worley, all these people, took a shine to me.
Ah, that's great.
And I did 2 of his shows, and I did another. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a big deal back then, but it didn't lift me up like Don't Tell's. It's unbelievable what Don't Tell's done. But
yeah.
But my first television show was a national with a broken ankle.
Oh my gosh. Now
I had to go get another cast put on.
Yeah, I bet.
But that's the glory of being young. I mean, I was just barely 30.
Yeah.
I might have been 31, 32 years old.
Did you move to LA at that time, or what made you move to LA?
I was living in LA at that time. So that's why I thought it was probably 1980.
Oh yeah, you were visiting Portland.
88 or 89. Because I moved down to LA in 86. I got in 83 in Portland. I quit my day job in 85, early 85, and tripled my income by becoming a stand-up.
Wow.
Yeah, there was so much work, and you got paid. I mean, back then, gasoline was maybe 82 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, bread was 53 cents, that kind of thing. So,
yeah, so you could live.
Yeah,
well,
and it was not well, but but
pretty
I was
well compared to like what some people do.
I was working at a bank for $2.87 an hour.
So what was it like hitting Los Angeles from Portland? Like, was that a big shock, or was it an easy transition?
I drove down in my '74 Super Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
I drove across the Grapevine. Almost didn't make it, but she did. I had $800 in my pocket. It's crazy when you think about it now.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I had bookings on the books, which was fine.
You did.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to go. Yeah, I knew I had to, and I had to fly. We flew everywhere. We flew everywhere. And back in those days, by the time I hit LA, I was already headlining.
Wow. So yeah, so you prepared in Portland. You were totally prepared for this, or pretty
I,
prepared.
something, audiences didn't know what this was. In that time, we created, along with our audiences, we created a scene. The audiences were just like, oh, that was great. They don't know if it was great or not. They hadn't seen enough of it to compare. Now you got to bring the goods.
Yeah.
Back then, you could stand on stage and do 25 minutes of material and then riff with the audience for the rest of your time. And it either hit or miss. And then you always ended with a strong joke. And then that was it. We used to call it headliner filler shit.
And what were the clubs that you were playing in LA at that time?
There was a bunch of them. There was the two obvious, the Comedy Store and the Improvs, which I didn't work for. I never worked for the Comedy Store. I did shows there once in a while in the Belly Room. I was there the night that Richard Pryor came back to the
Really?
fold.
Really?
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, he couldn't do stand up because he couldn't. They wouldn't sit down.
Really?
No.
People wouldn't sit down.
They wouldn't sit down. They couldn't stop screaming. They were screaming and screaming and screaming and clapping. And for 25 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And finally he just said he didn't have the energy and he just goes, I can't do this. And he came off stage. But anyway, so there was all this, okay, so the Improvs and the two Improvs is one in La Jolla and one in, no, La Jolla was Irvine and Melrose. And I didn't get into those until later. And I really didn't get into I worked the Improv Road. I didn't work Melrose. I worked the road, but okay. Then there was the Laugh Stops in Portland. There was one in West Covina, Newport Beach. There was the Long Beach Comedy Club. There was, what was the name on Ventura? There was one out on Ventura Boulevard that was LA Comedy, I think was out there. And then the Pasadena the Ice House.
The Ice House, yeah. Yeah.
I worked all those.
And who were the people that you worked with back then? I mean, who was coming up at that time? There's you with George Carlin.
That was special.
Nice
that was
picture.
in Vegas. He surprised me so much. Oh my God. He surprised me so much.
How did he surprise you?
I was putting on my makeup. I was part of the Las Vegas Comedy Festival. And I performed with Norm Crosby. Hated me.
Why? Why?
Yeah. Well, he's not, he had women should be in the kitchen.
Oh,
and,
really? Oh, no.
But anyway, yeah, there was a bunch of, oh God, I remember all those guys. But anyway, I was putting on my makeup and I was looking down and I looked up in the mirror and there was George Carlin with his face like this. I went, oh my God. And I had heard somebody come into the green room, but I hadn't looked up.
Yeah.
He was very nice to me. And he was very, he could tell how nervous I was. And he gave me some advice and just, he said, it's just the process. It's the process. That's all it is. It's all about the process. And I went, thank you.
Wow, that's good advice.
Yeah. So there was a comedy club on Balboa not Balboa, but down in Catalina. There was.
Oh, in Catalina there was one?
Yeah, we used to perform it was the Laugh Stops. Howard Tressman booked those for years. And the Laugh Stop Newport Beach, which is still, there's something else in that space. It became a strip club, but it was one of the longest running clubs in the country. The Newport Beach one.
What was it? Were there a lot of women or not very many? Was that hard?
I tell this story, I've probably repeated this a million times, in 84, I got in 83. I got my first paid gig June of 83. I got in March. I had my first paid gig in June. And from then on, that was it. But we went to, what was the question? It was, okay. I get off on a tangent. Really, what was the question?
I don't know. Let's
Oh,
move on.
I know. Okay, so yes.
No,
Some of the people that I
oh,
worked
women.
with.
It was about women. Of course. Were there
Yeah,
a
so
lot of women or
84
not? I'm like, how did I forget the question too?
Yeah, 1984, Newsweek came out with an article on comedy in the United States because it had grown substantially in every
Yeah.
city. And they did a count and they came up with about 5,000 working stand-ups, which seemed high to me at the time, but it was probably true. And about less than 200 of those were women. But they were counting, when they listed the women they counted, they were listing comedy actresses,
Oh, really?
not stand-ups.
Yeah.
So of that, there was about, I think at one time I counted about 20 of us
Really?
that were working on the road.
Wow.
And then LA, there was Diane Ford, wonderful, fabulous comic. Guys hated her because she was so smart and so independent. I mean, she was just wonderful and such a brilliant mind. Lotus Weinstock, there was Carol Leifer and Rita Rudner, and there was Paula Poundstone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and there was others. There was a lot. I met a lot more. Kathy Griffith came on, but not as a stand-up, but she was big. She was big at Groundlings and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, we were, if there was a woman on the show, they billed it, just one woman, they would bill it as a woman's show.
Really?
Because we were the freaks.
Oh my God. What made you go back to Portland after all that in Los Angeles?
Well, we're living in this time right now.
Yeah.
The boom stopped.
So this was like in the 90s, like late 90s?
It started slowing down. It started in the mid 70s and it ended around 90, 91. Things started getting to the point where these comedy club owners had gone in business with each other, and it was hard to sustain that because there was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of, there's a lot of mismanagement.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys had just branched out to brick and mortar to the point where they couldn't afford the overhead. So it started to fall. The circuits started to fall, and there wasn't as much work in LA. LA folded fast.
Were there more comedians too? Did it start to be?
Oh my God!
Like all of a sudden?
Oh yeah,
like
I think when I got to LA, there was less than 1,200 comics in the whole city.
Boomed, and it just
And
boomed.
they'd all come from different places.
Yeah.
There was very few. There was a few that were Monica Piper, I think was I don't know if Monica was, but there was a few that were natives, but not many, and a lot of New Yorkers. But yeah, the club started closing, and
is that when did you move to doing corporate gigs at that point when you moved up to Portland? And what was that?
I moved to
like?
Portland. I had a family member pass away, and in 96, and I didn't move back to LA until I was one of the last holdouts. I mean, most of my friends had moved back to their hometowns. I moved back in 98 to Portland. And I had been working the road, and the road was drying up, so I needed to come back and reestablish myself someplace else. And Portland's always been home. So
yeah. I want to get to what happened here with the Don't Tell. I'm going to play another clip though that I think is really fun.
Okay.
It's a little bit of an act out.
I don't have kids that I know of. Well, the 80s were a little hazy. Yeah, at least we had a choice. Anyway. But I have nieces and nephews that are my heart. I have one here tonight. She's going to need therapy. And I have a limited amount of time with her children, I'll tell you that. Rightfully so, because I am that auntie. No, I am that auntie that people now whisper about in the kitchen. She is not living with us. That's it. I am not wiping anything on her.
All right. Now, was there a time where you suddenly tapped into something that, changed your career in some way? Did you change maybe your point of view, or what happened that
No.
changed? Or did
Well,
anything change?
we're all constantly changing.
Yeah.
But I think, they say when you just let something go and you don't give a shit and you just do it for the love of it, that's what happened. I mean,
Wow.
I knew I'm on borrowed time. I got 10 minutes left in this business. And when I remembered and I thought about that, it became the joke that you just played, the bit that you just played used to play out a different way.
Mm.
The 80s were a little hazy,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I didn't always, it had a different tag,
Yeah.
but there's a time where it came out of my mouth very naturally because I feel so strongly about that issue.
And you're so personal in your delivery.
I've waited for someone to take me on. There's been people that have wanted to take me on in that, but it's hard to argue with this.
Right. It maybe gives you a little bit more.
I'm not just some, I have.
You have the power of having, I don't know what it would be. I guess wisdom for one thing.
I fought for the original.
Yeah, you did.
I experienced the fact that I had no rights in my own hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that I can't talk politics on stage because I get so angry. So it doesn't work for me. So when I can make a small statement to establish people, to let them know there's more to me than just this doddering old silly woman.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share that small amount of that to me. I don't need to go any further. It pretty much establishes how I feel about humanity.
One of the things I love about what you do too is you can play to any audience of any age, and you can talk about topics that are true to you at your age, and younger people get it, or they enjoy it.
I think struggle is familiar to everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, thank you. That's a lovely compliment. And it surprises me at this age that I do have so many young followers and that they want to come up. And the loveliness about that is that when I'm approached by a younger person after a show, the one thing they want is a hug.
Oh, really? That's nice.
And they always ask if they may they have a hug.
Mm-hmm.
They're very polite. People my generation, especially guys, they just come in. And it's like, no, personal boundaries, but it's, I'm glad I have that effect on people. I am glad about that. It's kind of basically who I am. I would rather have that than stand on stage and scream and yell and try to change someone's mind.
How did they approach you for the Don't Tell? My voice is being weird. How did they approach you for that? Did they contact you?
I'm keeping an eye on the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a great story. Again, it's a story. Don't Tell has been established for about 11 years, 12 years. Kid that formed it was going to UCLA, I think, and he wanted to do stand-up and he couldn't get time on stage in LA. And so they created this secret show, like a rave, like college kids have raves. And it took off. And then they established these little secret shows in every city. And I've been doing little don't tell secret shows in Portland for about the last 8, 9 years.
Really?
Yeah, maybe 10 years. Just, off and on, they'd call me up and go, hey, you want to do a don't tell? And it's, you don't know where you're going. You don't know what it is. You just know, the day before, 3 hours before, they send you the address of the venue. And
Wow.
then you show up and do a show. So I've done several of those. And the one that a couple guys that run the don't tell shows, they were comics in Portland, wanted to submit me to the tapings that they've been doing for the last, I don't know, 6 years. And I said no. And they said, why? And I said, well, because this is your time now. I had my time. I had that time. This is really important that you guys embrace this. This is yours. And they said, no, we want you to do it. And then I pointed out the fact, well, I'm familiar with Don't Tell. And there's not one person of age that, they're not going to say yes. So I don't want you to set yourself up for failure. It's okay. I'm not upset about it. I'm not insulted. It's fine. Thank you for asking. Called me back again. Okay, I found the clip I want to submit. I go, you can't do it. And he goes, I'm doing it. And he hung up and he did it.
Wait, really?
And an hour later, I get an email from Kyle Kazarian Amory. And Kyle, if you hear this, I pronounce your name wrong. He's the owner, the CEO of Don't Tell, inviting me to do it.
Wow. And then
it blew up.
Blew up. Was that surprising to you?
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I did January 20th of 2024. I did the Don't Tell shoot in Santa Barbara. I had 2 very bad knees. I was awaiting knee surgery on one of them, and the venue had 27 steps up. Hence the first joke.
You and the steps.
Well,
it's been a lifelong...
laugh it up, young boy. When you have bad knees.
No, but even when you were younger than me.
What the fuck I'm talking about.
No, I get it. But even when you were younger than me, you were like breaking your ankle on the steps.
Well, I've had bad knees since I was 11. But
okay.
So
laugh it up, Marshall. Laugh it up.
Yeah, put your foot in that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but it was raining. It was a horrible night, and we did it in Santa Barbara. And then I came home, and on the 14th of February, I had my knee replaced. The same night I came out of surgery, I get an email from Don't Tell. Oh, here's let's do your editing for your clip. Okay.
Wow.
I said, you're going to have to give me a couple minutes. I'm on some serious drugs. Yeah. And so we edited it pretty fast, and because I had gone over, no big surprise. And and they launched it on the 11th. And it was a Tuesday, I think. And they there was a Monday or Tuesday, they launched it, and by Friday it had over 500,000 views.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is you tapped into like something that a lot of people relate to.
It was, well, the clips even went even further.
Yeah.
I have the clips that when they clip it up,
the
little clips that you see on the shorts. I've gotten millions and millions of views on those clips too, which I didn't understand all this. I didn't. I knew that people said viral. Well, I always thought of infection. And so I didn't understand it all. And it was quickly pointed out to me the following Monday after it launched, when AGT called.
Yep.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And I said I didn't want to do that either.
You're good at, I mean, you often say no before you say yes.
I've been down the road with America's Got Talent for many years, and it's a clusterfuck.
I wonder about that too, because we've had comedians that have been on that show, on our show, and they've had varying degrees of success on it. And sometimes even, comics that are professionals go on there and they're kind of presented like they're a beginner or something. You know, they're talked to in a way that it seems a little
Well,
bit
I mean, to get
lowering
to
their
get the
status.
audition. Well, you
Yeah.
have to go through so many auditions, and I said I wasn't going to go through all those auditions. They said no, it'll be in front of celebrity judges. The celebrity
Mhm.
judge is just, and then they said when AGT approached me, and I said, well, I don't think I want to do it, and they said, well, it'd be in front of celebrity judges, and the only problem is that we're now at the end of the season, and we only have so many slots left. Do you want us to call you for next year? And I said, no. And they said, why? I said, it's 72. I don't put shit off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would I say yes to that? So they were all very nice, and everybody at AGT was incredibly kind. And
Hmm.
I made it through. I just didn't make it to the live shows, and rightfully so. I wasn't pulling flaming bunnies out of my butt.
That's
So
the thing. It's hard to compete
yeah, it's hard.
stand-up
And
comedy with like what other people are doing, juggling flames, or like Seth Word, who's been on the show many times, where he dresses up like an animal, and they always kick him off anyway. But there's such variety of performance. It's hard
so
to.
you're going for the guy. You're going for that. This is the loser group. Okay, yay.
No, no. Well, I don't know if
No.
I've had anybody on the show who actually got very far on it, because I think stand-ups, it's just hard to.
Well, I
keep
made it through.
moving.
Erica Rhodes, who did make it into the live performances, she and I were on the same day.
Yeah.
She did the first show. I did the second show, and she did incredibly well. And she was upset because the second time her second round, Simon didn't like her, and she called him out on it, which was the best thing she could have done.
Yeah.
And because it's grueling, and they own you for about a year.
How do you mean they own you?
If you win or get in the top 5,
Oh, you're stuck in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they manage your career. They pretty much
Really?
you're on their payroll, that kind of thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was just starting this all out, and I think one of the reasons I didn't pass through to the live show was because when I came on stage for my audition, and there was over 1,200 people in this auditorium, in this theater, I was recognized.
Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
Don't Tell had only been out less than about 3 weeks by the time I shot it.
Wow.
So there was thousands and thousands and thousands of views. By
Mhm.
that time, there was over 1 million views of my clips and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I was recognized, and I got a standing ovation when I walked out on the stage.
That's awesome.
So I think they kind of went, what the hell is this? What
Yeah.
is going on? In fact,
Yeah.
all of them turned around and looked at the audience like, how do you know this person? And
Wow.
that's what Howie asked me to begin with. He said, I don't know what you do. And I said, well, I've been doing
comedian.
it longer than you have.
Yeah, right.
And I
Right.
went, oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had Andy Huggins on the show, who was also.
I
Do you know
just worked
Andy?
with Andy. We just shot I've known Andy since he was an outlaw out of Houston.
Yeah.
Andy's great. Was he on your show?
He was on my show too. Yeah. And he was also on America's Got Talent as well.
Now
And-
he made it through. He did quite well.
Well, yeah, Howie though recognized him from back in the day. He was like, we started out together.
Yeah, Andy. Well,
I don't know if that's a setup or what that happens, but it seemed like it happened right there on the stage.
the Houston Outlaws. When I call them the Houston Outlaws, was started pretty much there was several of them.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hicks, Jimmy Pineapple, Mike Epstein, Andy Huggins. There was one more.
I've been trying to get Jimmy Pineapple on the show just because I love his name. And
Oh,
apparently
Jimmy's
he's a
funny,
legend.
Yeah. Well, you never followed those guys into a condo, did you?
Thank God. Thank God I didn't.
Anyway, we're at our hour.
Yeah, we're at our hour. I love how you watch the clock. So great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Just such a gift. And
Oh, thanks.
I really appreciate it. And hearing all this history is just really important, I think, for comedians and non-comedians
Well,
out
I
there to
encourage
understand this.
anybody with a person of age that they love to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because if these stories aren't told, I mean, there's so many young comics that don't even know who Bob Newhart was.
Yeah.
They don't know Buddy Hackett's name.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who Red Skelton was. Carol Burnett, they kind of know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, ask questions.
And it's great to these days because the people that don't know who those people are can go on YouTube and see all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, there's no
so
excuse.
archived. Yeah, there's no excuse. But sometimes you need to be told the names. I think.
Well,
like
you
what
have to.
you're saying.
Yeah, what we used to call street jokes are now called dad jokes.
Right.
So,
right.
and you ask a Gen Z or even a millennial, what's a street joke, and they have no clue what it is.
Yeah.
But you go, have you ever heard two guys walk into a bar? Oh yeah. Okay, well that's a street joke. Oh, it's a dad joke. Okay, that's a dad joke. See, things change, but they stay the same.
Yeah. Mike Knox says his mom danced on the Red Skelton show.
Oh,
Wow,
cool.
that's cool.
Very nice.
We like that. All right, it's time to end the show. We're going to do our dance break, and then we're going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Please send this around to all your comic friends and all your non-comic friends and your fans of comedy and your non-fans of comedy.
On YouTube.
And follow her on YouTube. It's at Funny Old Bag, right?
No, I'm Susan Rice 3033 on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram as Funny Old Bag and TikTok as Funny Old Bag.
Okay, good. Yeah, and it's also, there are links in the show notes. So get on over there and follow her. All right, dance break time. Here we go. All right, here we go. These are the Darcys playing a little Simon and Garfunkel. Thanks everybody for being here. Mike Knox, Boney Dance. This is one of my favorite YouTube musicians, bands.
And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
All right, check out the Darcys on their channel. Links below to Susan Rice's work, and we'll see you all next Tuesday.